It's time for health, your super informative turmeric latte charged, ginseng powered, antioxidant rich natural health podcast with a little twist of lemon. And I'm your host, Greg Newson, naturopath, herbalist, and nutritionist. We're here today for the Vitality and Wellness Centre and sponsored by NatraVital Health Supplements, 100% pure active ingredients, no binders, fillers, or additives. G'day and welcome to the latest episode for Time for Health. Now, the idea for this podcast came to me one morning while I was in bed and I was not asleep, but I was not awake. I was like in between phase that you can be in. And the day before, a customer who normally buys products to help alkalize his body had contacted us in regards to a reverse osmosis water filter, and he has an alkalizing unit on it, and he was then worried about over-alkalizing the body. And then I was lying there thinking, I think we've really missed the point. Now, we seem to be spending a lot of money on alkalizing supplements or alkalizing water or alkalizing water filters, but we've forgotten actually how the body does that naturally itself. So I thought I'd put this little podcast together to explain how the body regulates its own pH, and maybe we don't need all of these expensive alkalizing water, alkalizing supplements, or alkalizing filters. We just have to change the way we do things, and we just have to take care of certain parts of the body that regulate our pH. Now, I'll get to what those parts of the body are in a minute, but before I do, I thought it'd be best to explain a little bit about pH. Now, the blood has a pH of between 7.35 and 7.45. Neutral pH is around 7.2, so that means our blood is just slightly alkaline. If we go down the scale to 5 and 4 and 3, that becomes more acidic. If we go 8s, 9s and 10s, that means it becomes more alkaline. But we never want to be in those ranges because our body just won't function. It has to function between 7.35 and 7.45. So when we eat food, our stomach produces acid, which has a pH of around 1.5. It's hydrochloric acid, and that is needed to denature, break down the food, so we can then start to absorb the nutrients from it. So the hydrochloric acid doesn't cause any damage to the stomach. The stomach is protected by a thick mucosal layer. But when the acid then passes from the stomach into the small intestines, there is no mucosal layer. So the body then has to do something different to neutralize that hydrochloric acid. Otherwise, it will burn and it will cause things like duodenal ulcers, which can be extremely painful. So the pancreas that secretes the digestive enzymes does that in a bicarbonate fluid, which neutralizes the acid coming from the stomach. Now in the bloodstream, the hydrogen from water and carbon dioxide combine to create carbonic acid, which is then easily converted into bicarbonate. This bicarbonate helps to keep the pH of the blood between that 7.34 and 7.45. When that blood supply travels to the lungs remove the carbon dioxide component of the bicarbonate, and we expel that when we breathe air out, and the remaining component is converted back to water. So the pancreas, the lungs, and the blood all play pivotal roles in regulating our pH levels. There is an organ that's health is pivotal to our pH balance. It's the organ that either, if we're too high, it brings the acid down, and if we're too alkaline, it brings the acid up. Now, it's often forgotten in, we got to get ourselves alkaline. Let's buy some alkalizing water, an alkalizing supplement, or an alkalizing filter. But it's very important. I've spoken about it before. I've spoken about it in our last podcast, and it's the kidneys. So let me explain what happens. If the blood pH rises up above 7.45, that means we become very alkaline, and that can lead to things such as nausea, numbness, muscle twitching, tremors in the hand, dizziness, breathing difficulties, confusion. It can also lead to a coma, which is not, trust me, it's not a very good thing. So when the bicarbonate levels in the blood begin to rise, what the kidney does, it goes, oh, this is not good. It actually then secretes all of the excess bicarbonate out into the urine and it goes out of the body. So it's then maintaining that alkaline acid balance, and it does the same thing with acidosis. So if our pH level starts to drop and it gets down to say 7.3, which can lead to things like rapid breathing or shallow breathing, there can be confusion, fatigue, lack of appetite, the heart rate starts to go a lot faster, your breath smells quite fruity, which can happen within diabetic acidosis, and things like jaundice and sleepiness and headaches will also occur. In that case, the kidneys just do exactly what they did, but in reverse. They, instead of removing bicarbonate, they remove excess acid from the body, thus maintaining that balance. So if we start to focus on the health of the kidneys, we'll most probably save a fair bit of money on alkalizing supplements, alkalizing water, and alkalizing filters. We'll add a lot more to our lifespan and reduce and improve, I should say, our longevity, because poor kidney function is related to a lot of major health problems. So what can you do to keep yourself alkaline? Okay, so let's look firstly and most importantly, diet. Foods that help alkalize the body are fruits and vegetables. Okay, they've got, if we look at, there's a pH, you can most probably Google this, there's a food pH chart list thing that lots of people have. Fruits and vegetables are more alkaline. Now, nuts, seeds and legumes kind of sit more in the middle of the range, whereas meat products become a little bit more acidic. And the worst bunch of foods for acidity is sugars, white flour products, pre-made foods, alcohol, cigarettes. Certain pharmaceutical medications such as aspirin, which contains salicylic acid, are more acidic. The precursor to bicarbonate, so the body makes bicarbonate, one of the key ingredients is citric acid. And one of the most important foods high in citric acid are lemons. So lemons are actually quite alkalizing, even though they're quite acidic because of that citric acid. That body actually converts that citric acid, which is in all citrus, and other fruits such as pineapple, berries, stone fruits such as cherries, peaches, and apricots. Citric acid is converted then to citrate and then goes into what we call the Krebs cycle, or the citric acid cycle, which creates the water and the carbon dioxide for the blood to create the bicarbonate. Certain mineral supplements that are bound to citrate, such as magnesium citrate, calcium citrate, potassium citrate, help to alkalize the body. As we've just mentioned, the citrate is a precursor to the bicarbonate. So I hope that's given you a brief understanding of how the body creates acid or alkaline and how it filters and how it regulates the pH, and how important the kidneys are in maintaining the balance between acid and alkaline. So how do we improve kidney function and obviously then reduce our reliance on alkalizing products? Well, funnily enough, there is a podcast, a video and a blog, plus a treatment plan, all on the Vitality and Wellness website for you to learn more about the kidneys. But there's certain foods that improve kidney function, and I've mentioned them. I'll just go very briefly into these, more details in those articles that I've just mentioned. Watermelon, beetroot, beans, parsley, coriander, celery, cucumbers, all very, very beneficial for kidney function, helps flush the kidneys and revitalizes the kidneys. Really important herbs to regenerate kidney function and detoxify and cleanse the kidneys are astragalus, romania, dong quai, burdock root, clivers, St Mary's thistle, and that perennial weed that always seems to grow in everyone's garden, dandelion. Antioxidant-rich foods, fruits, vegetables, anything purple, orange, green, red, help to protect the kidneys from deterioration and toxic damage. Plus, they're all very alkalizing, as are algae such as spirulina, chlorella, barley grass, well, it's not an algae, but it's a grass, wheatgrass, alfalfa, all alkalizing and all help to cleanse the kidneys. Mother Nature's always got us covered. She has an abundance of medicinal foods and herbs that help regenerate not only the kidneys, but many different parts of the body. As a general rule, because of people's diet and lifestyles, that they're more acidic than they are alkaline, and acidity is not a good thing because too much acid, which comes from stress, alcohol, poor diet, all those white flour products that I've just mentioned, lack of good fruits, quality fruits and vegetables, etc., smoking, pharmaceutical medication, excessive exercise, all of those things combined drive up acidity within the body. Acidity becomes the breeding ground for inflammation. It's the only environment that cancer thrives in. It is the initial building block of most diseases. So to try to reduce the acidity in our daily lives, we have to eat a well-balanced diet full of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and legumes, and we reduce the white flour products and the sugars and the alcohol and the stress, etc. But at the end of the day, it's the function of the kidneys, it's the health of the kidneys, it's the ability of the nephrons, the cells within the kidneys, to filter out the excess acid or the excess bicarbonate to make the blood maintain that pH balance between 7.35 and 7.45. So hopefully you have now a greater awareness of the pH within the body and how it's all regulated and how important the kidneys are for acid and alkaline regulation. If your furry friend is also suffering from kidney problems, check out NatraVital for Pets Kidney Care. Until next time, this is Greg. Live life and laugh loud.